Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Organic Innovation Days 2020. I'm Eduardo Cuoco, and I will be your moderator for the next hour. I will be moderating a policy debate on Horizon Europe and the mission. Let me introduce a bit the topic. As you know, we are in a very special time, not only because of the pandemic crisis we are all living, but also because it's time now for Europe and for the entire world population to act towards the climate crisis. The European Commission published last December the European Green Deal, the macroeconomic policy of the Union for the next decade, a macroeconomic policy that wants to reach net emission by 2050. In her communication, the President of the Commission outlined an important role for the organic food and farming sector. Important role also reflected in the biodiversity strategy and the farm to fork strategy. Susanna explained it very well in her presentation. Both strategies, in fact, set an ambitious target of 25% organic land by 2030. So in this session today, I would like to explore with the speakers how Horizon Europe and these tools, such as the mission and the partnership, can support the transition towards a more sustainable food system, and how it will help in matching the organic target in the, indicated in the strategies. So today with me, we have a very relevant speaker. The first one is Nathalie Sauze-Vandevyver. She's the Director for Quality Research and Innovation in DG AGRI. Welcome, Nathalie.
Good morning, Eduardo, and good morning, the participant.
Thank you. Then we have Hans-Jörg Lutzeyer, Scientific Officer of DG Research and Innovation. Hi, Hans-Jörg.
Good morning. Yeah, good morning, Eduardo. Good morning to everyone.
Hi, Hans-Jörg. Nice to see you. Then we have Alfred Grand. Alfred is a farmer, an organic farmer. He has a company called Grand, and he's also part of the mission board for soil health and food. Hi, Alfred.
Hello, everyone from Austria. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. And then we have Mute Schimpf from Friends of the Earth, and she's also a member of the TP Organic Steering Committee. Hi, Mute.
Welcome, everybody.
Hi, Mute. Nice to see you. So, for all of you, we want to make this session interactive. So I will make a first round of questions to the speakers, but I invite you to already post your question on the chat, so that the second part of the debate can be with your question and not only with mine. And I will now start with a round of questions for each of the speakers. So the first question will be for Nathalie. Nathalie, we are aiming at for at least 75% of all soils in the EU to be healthy for food, for people and nature, and for climate by 2030. And this is a bit the macro objective of the mission for soil and health and food, which is one of the 5 missions that have been launched under Horizon Europe. We believe that this mission will be crucial for the success of the Green Deal. And we know that there is evidence for positive effect of organic practices in soil health. So my question for you, Nathalie, is how will the mission leverage the potential of organic farming and agroecology to protect and restore European soil and their essential function? And it would be nice if you can give the perspective from food supply to carbon sequestration, for example. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Eduardo, and thank you for your interest in the missions in general, which is considered as a new tool for Horizon Europe. But I would like to start with a word of caution. Let me precise that the mission has not been approved now yet by the Commission. We have received in September during the NI days the board recommendation for missions called Caring for Soil is Caring for Life. And the mission report has been very well received by the College of Commissioners responsible for research. And we are now entering in a preparatory phase to work on the details for the implementation of such a mission. And the Commission will take the final decision in 2021 for the full deployment of the missions. It is for the 5 missions. So now it's true that the mission board, soil health and food, and Alfred is part of this mission board, and he will give you later on additional information, has proposed a highly ambitious goal, and the goal corresponds to doubling by 2030 the rate of IC soil in Europe across all type of land. And as you mentioned, it's fit very well with the Green Deal priorities. Now, today we will discuss a little bit more the agriculture part of this mission, but the idea is to target all soils. So not only agriculture, but also in forest, also in urban soils and the natural area. But let's focus on agriculture for today. So to reach the objectives and the corresponding targets, the missions will act at 4 levels, what we call the building blocks. And the first one is, of course, research innovation, but what will be the important part of this mission is the testing and the deployment of solutions through what we call living labs and lighthouses. The third part will be soil monitoring. And the fourth one, it's more linked to education, communication, and citizen engagement. That is an important elements of the mission. But as you can see, the building blocks are clearly interlinked. So, as I said, the living labs and lighthouse will be the main tools for the mission implementation at regional and local level, and that will mean that it will bring together the researchers, the land managers, the business, and the society at large to identify research innovation gaps, co-create knowledge, test solutions, and promote their uptake in practice. So what we want to do, the idea is to create communities from various sectors and that works together and deliver solutions tailored to the local context. And that is, I think, really important. But we are not starting from scratch, of course. When we are talking about communities, we can refer to the multi-actor approach for Horizon 2020, and of course also the European Innovation Partnership for Agri, EIP Agri, which create a certain number of operational groups under the rural development. And in the new CAP, we have proposed to reinforce this EIP tools. So this approach, this general approach, is widely applied in agroecology and, of course, in organic farming. So for you, it's not new. The reports presented by the mission board highlight the importance of living labs and lighthouses to showcase good examples. And so the good examples can come from the practice from agroecology and from the organic sector. So I think the organic sector is very well prepared to join the mission activities because you have a very good practice in soil management. You are used to work in a system approach, and you are testing new ways regularly based on knowledge exchange. So I think I'm sure that the mission will help to further improve also practice in the organic sector, for example, in addressing knowledge gaps, but also and to have also a better soil monitoring. So we have the possibility to have this exchange, but I think the mission will also help the organic sector to achieve the famous 25% target you are mentioning, which is foreseen in the farm to fork and the biodiversity strategies, because if you have more and more healthy soils, of course, that will help for also conversion their organic farming. So that's it's a win-win situation. So what is important, it's to raise one of the objectives is to raise the awareness of the importance of soil, not only for the agriculture sector, but also for all citizens. That's the reason we put really a great importance on citizen engagement. And you can see now we can follow a certain number of video at national level linked to the importance of soil, what we have to do, what are the challenges, and that is. So to conclude, I think the organic sector will be a strong partner for this mission. Again, if we can start with the mission, but I cross the finger. I think we will do all what can be done to launch this mission. But I think now we will involve you also in the preparatory phase, and that is the first step in our timeline. Thank you, Eduardo.
Thank you, Nathalie. Thank you very much for a very comprehensive answer. And please stay with us, because I will come back to you later on with the other question and the question from the audience. Now I would like to bring on screen Alfred. Hi, Alfred. Hi again. Welcome to our event. You are an organic farmer. You are an entrepreneur. You are very active in research and innovation, and you are also a member of the Mission Board for Soil Health and Food. And let me say, your farm is also one of the global, part of the global network of Lighthouse Farm. So as you are so polyhedric, I have polyhedric question for you, a cluster of questions. So first of all, I would like to know if you can tell us more about what innovative practices you are already applying in your farm to boost the health of your soils. And then I would like to know, what are your expectations? What should be achieved by the mission for soil health, which you are a member of? And then, as you are also an ambassador of the DG AGRI, maybe you could tell us what could motivate other farmers to join the mission to make our soil healthier and our food system more sustainable. Thank you, Alfred. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Eduardo, for giving me the opportunity to tell a little bit about what we do on a farm level here in Austria, but also at the mission board and what we propose. So I have quite a bit of research connection, and therefore we always do a lot of research on our farm. So quite for the past 10 years, we already cooperated with scientists and also NGOs and other stakeholders. So what we are implementing now is when we already, my parents started to reduce plowing, and so we stopped plowing the soil 25 years ago or even earlier. In 2006, we changed to organic agriculture, which was a big step in increasing soil health. But then we even more reduced tillage and in case of the intensity of tillage, but also tillage depth. So now we are working very shallow, 3 to 4 centimeter only, as much as possible. Only once in a crop rotation we go a little bit deeper, like 10 centimeter or 15. We reduced tire pressure quite significantly. So we're working with 0.6 bar in our tires on the tractor. We are doing trials in the roller crimper organic no-till method, which is a beautiful method for increasing soil health. We do mixed seeds, undersowing. We do perform crop rotation for 8-9 years. We do use cover crops. We do trials in cut and carry, so taking, for example, lucerne from one field, bringing it to the other field and fertilizing the other fields and feeding the earthworms at the same time. We do compost. We use vermicompost as a seed treatment for our cereals, for example. We are doing research in agroforestry, flower strips, and market gardening. So all of these methods are really important, I think, to increase soil health. But what we really do is what we try to achieve. We try to achieve even more. So we try to multiplicate what we do. So we established a research farm, and research is not enough. So we do research and demonstration, and this is something that is really important. We have a focus in soil health, agroforestry, and market gardening on our farm. So we are doing the research not ourselves, but we are working with scientists. We are working with stakeholders to work and to increase our impact on soil health, and not only on our farm, but also on other farms. So this is what we do on the farm ourselves. But what is about the mission board? So your second question: what do we want to achieve with the mission? And there is the slogan. The mission is called "Caring for soil is caring for life," and this is very much what we intend to do. We see the soil as the most important resource, even contributing to the other 4 missions. Soil is essential for us, for our work, and I don't have to explain it in here. But this is what we want to achieve, is to have a systemic approach. So to see more than only soil. And what we want to motivate all stakeholders which are working on soil, so from farmers, scientists, politicians, but also we want to raise awareness on a citizen level. So this is really important for us, because consumers can decide with their choice which food they buy, which type of production they would support with their money. So what could other farmers motivate to join the mission? And this is really important for us. And I think the mission board proposal is really outstanding in that approach, because we see the mission not research driven, but we want to see the cooperation between farmers and scientists. And what we proposed are to have 1,000 to 2,000 lighthouse farms and living labs established all over Europe, where farmers, where landowners, land managers, foresters, for example, can cooperate with science on one side to establish research where it's still needed and innovation, but also to help implement already known practices in practice and demonstrate for consumers, for citizens. So this is really an important thing. And what I see on a farmer's level, when I talk to colleagues, then we see that we have huge interest in these lighthouse farms. So I get a lot of requests, and how can I be a lighthouse farm? How can I have established a living lab on my own farm? So we can see that farmers are super interested, and I think it's a very nice approach, and it's a huge step forward what the mission proposed, to have that strong cooperation between practice and science.
Thank you, Alfred. It's indeed a very good idea to co-create and work together towards new innovations. So please stay with us, because there will be for sure questions for you. I see already some it's coming up on the chat. So I would like to move to Hans-Jörg. Hello, Hans-Jörg. Hi. Welcome again to our Organic Innovation Days. So we can bring Hans-Jörg on the screen. Hello. Hi, Hans. So it's a pleasure to have you with us today. And we had a speaker in the session before, Susanna from DG AGRI, which told a few words about the partnership on agroecology. But actually, there is another partnership which sounds very interesting, the one on safe and sustainable food system, for which DG Research and Innovation is in charge of. And we also learned from Susanna that partnership are already a very important tool of Horizon Europe. So I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about the partnership on safe and sustainable food system, and also if you can also say a few words about what could be the role of organic food and farming into this partnership. Thank you, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Eduardo, and thank you for the organizers to invite us to the Organic Innovation Days. It was a great example given by Alfred what it could mean to bring, let's say, a research and innovation idea such as the soil mission to practice. And as I remember, many of the examples actually which received the Organic Innovation Prize were in the startup phase. So great examples of using ICT tools and processes. And just as a preliminary remark, I would wish actually that our instruments are more flexible actually to support such innovation ideas, accompany them But actually, in some of our projects, we have foreseen, let's say, elements which could lead to work packages, which could actually allow projects to create such a space, a kind of innovation accelerator space. And I would hope, actually, if projects coming in spot this opportunity, that they use such work packages, so that innovation ideas like those actually which receive the Organic Innovation Prize can also benefit from some accompanying measures, maybe scaling up through projects. But now to your question. Actually, as Susanna already outlined a few elements of the partnerships, just to add that we are in a way moving from the ERANET landscape to the partnership landscape. ERANETs may still continue, but without commission funding. And many of the ERANETs are so mature that member state partners are actually keen to continue working together, aligning their research programs. For the partnerships, actually, our challenge is to design a partnership landscape which makes sense at the end. So we have the challenge actually in designing 3 partnerships in our cluster to be rolled out in 2023, food systems, agroecology, and animal health. And when they start in 2023, it should make sense. So, and this is the challenge actually to create interfaces and also not to work in silos, but working together. For the food system partnership, we had 2 preparatory workshops, one in September 2019 and the last one in October 2020. The convening platform is the SCAR Strategic Working Group Food Systems. So they are organizing the workshops. They called in the last workshop on 1st of October to members to nominate drafters, so to nominate colleagues who are ready to take the pen and first of all start drafting a narrative which could cover, let's say, take inspiration from the workshops. And actually there was overwhelming response. So 46 nominations were received, far too much to have only one drafter group. So we decided to split it into 4 drafter groups who until 21st of January will develop competing narratives. Narratives in the form of a platform, a welcoming partnership platform for co-funders, and looking through the draft names, there are quite a few coming from the organic sector. And I hope the organic sector from, let's say, processing is and engaging with citizens initiatives is visible in the narratives which we then will receive on 21st of September. But also that is not the end of the day, because we have more or less the whole year in 2021 to come forward with further drafting the food system partnership. Back to you, Eduardo.
Thank you very much, Hans-Jörg, for your comprehensive answer. And stay with us. We will come back to you. And now we bring on the screen the Mute. Hi, Mute.
Hi, Eduardo.
Hi. Nice to see you, and thanks for being with us. I mean, you work as a food campaigner and at Friends of the Earth Europe, and you are part of the steering committee of the European technology platform TP Organics. But as Friends of the Earth Europe, you made a manifesto for citizens that included in your report that city engagement is vital, not only for the acceptance, but to ensure ownership of citizens, for measures to be taken to stimulate a change in the mindset of consumers and producers, and also to tap and create new ideas. So I was reading out from your report. Can you tell us a little bit more? What is needed to ensure that citizens really engage in the mission for soil, as also Alfred was saying? And when can we call this a success? What are the elements that we could have to make sure that this mission can be seen as a success? Thank you, and the floor is yours.
Thanks, Eduardo. When I was reading the mission statement for Horizon Europe for the relevant soil health pillar, it's a real pleasure to read it. It has a sharp assessment on the problems for soil health. It defines clear tools, and it's also really has this button-up approach that we like as Friends of Europe, how citizens can be involved and how can we have a real change in Europe's research and innovation policy. But I think the challenge for us is how do we turn this into practice? Because writing a good paper, thanks to Emil and thanks to the others who and thanks to Alfred, who were part of a board of a mission statement. But I think what lies now before us is really how can we turn this into practice? And as we have heard in the chat or read in the chat before, the question is how do we see participatory research happening? And quite often food producers or consumers are seen as end users of new developments, of new technology, of innovation. And I think if you want to change this, we really should start and involve local food producers, local communities already in the problem definition, because the problem definition will set then the research question and then the design of an actual research project. And in a previous job where I worked for development NGO, it was very clear that people on the ground sometimes have a very other view what their real problem is than people in universities or researchers or advisors think. So for us, it's very clear to bring in the local context in the research and the social context and the environmental context, which is so different all over Europe, especially if you talk about soil. To give you one concrete example, not a classical organic farming one. Digital farming is now often seen as a very innovative and very efficient way how we can have more sustainable food production. And if we want to reduce pesticide use, we can think about weeding robots. So we can think about a high-tech weeding robot that is using GPS, that is using sensors, all kinds of cameras to define it. And it's developed normally by a bigger corporation. But what does it mean for the farmers? The farmers can't repair it themselves. It's a high investment to buy it. And they are not involved in the design of a weeding robot. But we also have from the organic sector this low-tech weeding robots, where were developed to support organic farmers in their vegetable productions, to make it less work, to have a good harvest. And these weeding robots are low-tech, super innovative, because they can be adapted to the local needs, they can be improved, they can be repaired by the farmers themselves. So these questions of governance in technology development and in research for us is a really crucial one. And you can even go further. If I would define a problem, but I'm not a farmer, I would say what would be really needed is that we need technologies that allows food producers to grow 20 to 100 different crops on one field, to sow them, to foster them, to harvest them. And for this, we need completely other technologies. And this is for me, for example, would be really long-term looking. But you also asked me what would be the success factors. And I quote from this wisdom of a crowd, I mean, most scientists and most citizens have understand that the current way of industrial farming is leading us to the ecological collapse, is increasing the climate crisis, and also does not deliver actually the healthy food for all. So if we want to change this, I would suggest 3 indicators. The first one would be we want to have a reduction of pesticide use by 50% by 2030, as it was defined in the farm to fork strategy. And this would be a good indicator to see how much we move also more mainstream farming to a pesticide-free farming and bring them closer to organic farming and bring them closer to agroecology. The second indicator would be that we actually also have a justice dimension in it, that all citizens in Europe have access to healthy and adequate food, ideally also locally produced. And the third one, closer to the topic of this conversation, is that we want to have 25% of all farming be agroecology organic, and not only arable land. We also want to have an animal sector included. And FO would love to have a more relocalized retail sector also developed in the next 10 years. And we also want to emphasize that if we want to achieve this, we also need to have more budget allocated for organic and agroecology research in Horizon Europe. Because at the moment, if we want to achieve a game of 25% organic land and the farm to fork strategy, we also need to have more research money to achieve this. Thanks.
Thank you, Mute. And I saw that it was one of the comments in the chat in the session before, that indeed 25% organic land should correspond to 25% organic budget invest into organic research. And I would like to underline that when you invest money into research and innovation for organic farming, it's actually an investment for the overall food and farming sector, because our organic solution can be used by conventional farmers as well. So it's indeed a win-win if you invest in organic research. But I have to also go back to some questions that I received in the chat. So I would like to bring all the speakers back on the screen if possible. And the first two questions are for the colleagues from the European Commission. In particular, I think there is a question, Nathalie, for you about the living labs, and if you have already set up criteria how to define a living lab, or what could be this criteria. Maybe this is a question for you, but maybe there is also a reflection from Alfred on that. So let's see. Please, Nathalie, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Eduardo. For living labs, as you know, there is no common definition for living labs as such. It's the idea is to have these communities on the local ground, and to put together so farmers, researchers, and other stakeholders linked to the in this case to the soil management, but also the advisor and all the things. So for the question was linked to, if we have criteria for farm, I think I will let the floor to Alfred, because he is a lighthouse, and perhaps also have this link with living labs. We have the experience with EIP Agri, but I'm not sure that I have the clear definition for that. So Alfred.
Thank you, Nathalie. Alfred, are you a living lab or just a lighthouse farm? What's the difference? What are the criteria?
We are a living lab and a lighthouse farm.
Okay.
Fortunately, lighthouse farms, per definition, the mission board, and this has to be worked out, as Nathalie already explained, in detail in the coming months. But lighthouse farms are more for implementing research results that are already there and demonstrating it to farmers, but also to consumers or to citizens. Living labs have a main focus on research. So they are trying new innovative ideas, cooperating with science, with the industry, with NGOs on let's call it even unusual ideas or crazy ideas, how we can increase soil health, how we can make the soil healthy again, and then also demonstrate for farmers, for implementation, but also for citizens. So the main difference is lighthouse farms are more for demonstration, and living labs are for research and demonstration. And they should also work together, a group of lighthouses in a region. And yeah, this is more or less in short.
So I guess we will need a very strong connection of living labs with operational groups of the EIP Agri, for example, to make sure that all these elements can work together.
Yeah, if you think about it, EIP Agri, and I'm super happy to hear that EIP Agri will have more power in the future, because it's a really successful initiative from DG AGRI. And if you talk to farmers in Austria, they are super happy with what we can do with operational groups, for example. And these are already kind of lighthouses or living labs, because they are working together in groups with the multi-stakeholder approach from Horizon 2020, with researchers, with NGOs, with the industry, to get on a problem and find a solution. And this will be much stronger at the mission board for soil health and food.
Thank you, Alfred. And I have another question from the participants, and it's about co-creation. I mean, the comment is co-creation is nice, but also means that people should be involved into the process from the beginning. And the question is actually about the SCAR working group, because Susanna in her presentation mentioned the SCAR working group for agroecology, and Hans-Jörg, in your presentation, you mentioned the SCAR food system working group. So is there space for farmer organization, processor organization like TP Organics to sit into this SCAR working group and cooperate with the SCAR member?
Thank you for the question, Eduardo. Actually, in the workshop on the 1st of October, we called on the participants to come forward with name for drafters. But I have to say the starting point of such a partnership is the co-funding instrument, so that participants pool or combine their national funding schemes, for example, within a co-fund instrument in the partnership. So first of all, we have to look at co-funding partners, and in the past, these had been corresponding programs in member states. But looking at the names of the drafters, many of them have relations to, I mentioned already, the organic sector, but also farmer groups, some also to citizen initiatives. For example, one is from ICLEI, which is working with sustainable cities. Also, the Milan Food Pact actually sent a representative. So the call was actually in the workshop to all participants in principle. And the workshops are actually the points of time where we interact with citizens, with initiatives, and with farmers, more broader speaking. While the SCAR groups, the SCAR collaborative working groups, strategic working groups, are based on member state delegates complemented by experts. Again, this expert option opens for some member states to base expertise from colleagues who are coming also from one of the sectors, from the farming sector, from the organic sector, or from other expertise backgrounds. But then they have to be nominated by a member state or be part of the delegation.
Thank you, Hans-Jörg. And I don't know if Nathalie wants to add anything about the SCAR.
Yes,
please.
but concerning just what Hans-Jörg said, it's first the member state, but also with the expert. But what is important, it's all the event organized, and so this workshop, we have the same for agroecology. We start quite earlier to see the interest for this agroecology partnership, but it's also with the stakeholders, and this co-creation is there. It's officially, it's true that it is the SCAR, it's more a committee for with the member state, but also with the expert. And we cannot work only between the institution and the member state. We need to have this co-creation with the stakeholders, because they have the knowledge out there, and to see what is missing, what we have to put in place for the future, and taking also into account what is already on the table. So yes, fully right that what we are doing, we try to involve as much as possible the stakeholders.
Thank you, Nathalie. And I'm wondering if there are more questions from the audience. In the meantime, I would like to ask you another question, Nathalie, because I mean, we talked about innovative solution that can be promoted by Horizon Europe, the mission, or by the partnership. But then we need to make sure that these innovative solutions are being taken up by the final actors. So I would like to ask you, how is the Commission, DG AGRI in particular, working on education and training? How can we ensure that education and training will be provided to uptake innovative solution? And what role EU policy can play in that? And especially my mind goes to the common agriculture policy and the strategic plans that we will need to be developed in the different member states. Maybe Nathalie, you can tell us a few words about that.
Yeah, of course. No, first of all, perhaps to come back to the mission, we have a specific objective on soil literacy. With the target referring to school, to training, to also to advisor. But of course, that is clearly a point where the synergies with the common agriculture policy is important, because as we said, mission, it's not only research innovation, it's much more than that, and it's the clearly a link with the other EU policies. And so in the CAP as it exists now, but in the future CAP post 2020, one important element will be the agriculture knowledge innovation system, the famous AKIS. Because without this possibility to have this transfer of knowledge, to have the possibility to advise the farmer, it's impossible to achieve all these objectives. So that will be a very important point for the strategic plans, which are under preparation by the member state, to explain exactly where they are with, because it's not new. We had already advisory services in the existing CAP, and we have the EIP AGRI we have already mentioned. That is also an element. But for the member state, it's important to put in the strategic plan what they will put in place to have an improved system, to have this possibility to make this link clearly between the knowledge from one side and how to implement this and to have this education. So to come back to the soil, it's important that there is this soil awareness, not only for the farmers, but also for the citizens. So we need to improve the knowledge in soil, also at school, also to explain to our young generation what is the importance of soil. But so that will be clearly an element for the CAP. And but now we are waiting to see how the member state will put this in place. But we hope that they will take into account the past experience to improve. As Alfred mentioned, EIP is a big success, but we hope that in the future that will be also more and more operational group, and we will be very careful at Commission level to see that the AKIS is well in place for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathalie. And I see a lot of questions are coming up, so I will try to cluster them one after the other. But I mean, on the same line, on let's say education and training, one of the participants is asking about facilitators. Indeed, the role of facilitator, let's say advisor, who can really facilitate the work on living labs and Tata's farm, can be very important. Alfred, how do you see this qualification is quite rare? Do you think the mission can also help in, let's say, creating a new facilitator for having a better food system in Europe?
Yeah, I think this is quite a critical question, because what can we expect from living labs, from lighthouses? What can we expect from farmers which are innovative, working in their practice? And are they also facilitators, or do we have to train them to be facilitators, to multiply this and to act as a bridge between science and practice, act as a bridge between farming sectors and the consumer sectors? I think this is quite critical, because I see it on my own farm. So we have a research farm, we are a lighthouse farm from the Wageningen Global Lighthouse Farming Network. So we developed that 2 or 3 years ago. And what we see is that it's difficult to get all the positions. So I would rather see a small organization behind these living lab and lighthouse farms, because the risk is that the farmers will have to do multiple jobs, and the question is if they can do. So I think it's best to have the farmers work where they are best in, and get a small organization behind that is doing making the videos, for example, is organizing field trips, and so on. So the farmer doesn't have to do it himself. So I think facilitate the job, yeah, for some aspect, yes, but it is critical to support the lighthouses and the living labs there to make it a success.
Thank you, Alfred. And I would like to go to Mute now, Mute, because there was a question about policy. So my question for you would be, is this framework program, Horizon Europe, with the mission, the partnership, able to accelerate really the transition towards organic and agroecological farming system? And as follow-up, is the CAP fit enough for that to give support to what will be done by Horizon Europe?
I start with a question with CAP. I mean, as a lot of other NGOs, we were heavily disappointed about the current state of a final CAP negotiations. We would have expected much more. And if Commission Vice President Timmermans also raised concerns if the plan of member states and the proposals from the urban position of the European Parliament actually contribute to the European Green Deal objectives. So I think how we understand the CAP, and if there's not something heavily changed at national level in the strategic plans we don't fit, the CAP will contribute to the necessary paradigm shift that we need for our way, how we use the land, how we can improve soil fertility, how we can cut emissions in the farming sector, and how we can protect biodiversity in a better way. I'm also time aware, so I don't want to talk for ages about one comment on the missions and on Horizon Europe. One thing I understood that there might be even a plan to have bigger projects than we have so far. And an old demand from TP Organic was always that in the specific calls, we should have something for smaller organizations that allow grassroots participation, that really allows also smaller organizations to contribute and to apply for the money. And especially now, if you want to have a more bottom-up approach, I think this is really important to be aware that various organizations cannot apply for research because they can't manage so big proposals, they can't manage so big budgets, and they also struggle with all the administration for this. So it's a plea from our side that for general grants of a commission, there should be a certain pillar for smaller projects that would allow really local initiatives, regional initiatives to apply for the money. And if you only have 10 million in bigger projects, this is just impossible for a lot of really interesting, really transitional projects to apply for. And I had one more point. And I think a criteria, if you want to go to transition, that every project proposal must include a real bottom-up approach. And if it's not the case, then I think the Commission should consider if this really helps us to achieve a necessary transition. And bottom-up, as I said, it's not a big greenwashing. It's not at one point you have a citizen outreach activity. It's really involving local actors in the research design, in the research question from the beginning. And then I think we can achieve it. But if we don't do this, if we don't have this really bottom-up approach included in the relevant research programs, I don't think we can do it. Go for it.
Thank you, Mute. Thank you very much for your reflections. And I received a few questions about agroecology. I mean, there is an overall fears that agroecology, being not defined by law, can be the entry door for people who can greenwash a bit the concept of sustainable food and farming system. I mean, some of the participants is commenting that agroecology is even being used, for example, for introducing GMO into farming systems and so on. So there is a general fear that not having agroecology protected by the law could be the entry door for greenwashing, while having organic farming well defined into the legislative framework of the European Union might be an added value because it's clear what farmers can deliver under the organic scheme. So this would be my general final question for all of you. Do you see this risk of watering down the ambition of the Green Deal and Farm to Fork because of a terminology that is too broad and can lead to different interpretation? And how is, in case of the Commission, the institution working in order to make sure that the principle of agroecology, will be respected into the work that will be carried on in the future months and days. So I don't know if someone wants to start. Maybe I see Alfred has the microphone open. Alfred, maybe as a farmer, you want to start with this?
Yeah, agroecology. I'm using agroecological methods, and I'm a big fan of that. I'm an organic farmer. I'm a big fan of that. And I see there are different levels of organic farming. So you have that level of the European Union regulation, and then we step up. In Austria, we have Austria as an organization who has much higher levels, and then we can get up on that. Nowadays, it's even more. We go into the regenerative approach. So we try not only to be sustainable, to sustain at the same level, but we have to go back. We have to bring our soil back to a healthy status. So we have to be regenerative. We are using agroecological methods, and we should multiply and level up that the quality of our work. I think this is really important. And the organic sector really has the benefit that there are regulations, so you have a certain level, and from there you can step up and increase. So this is my approach.
Thank you. I don't know, Hans-Jörg.
Yes, maybe. I think agroecology, there are many different concepts. So agroecology as a scientific concept, as a social movement. I think agroecology as a scientific concept has a lot of power. If you ideally can actually develop the field into mimicking nature. So if a pest is controlled by a beneficial insect, if a plant pathogen is actually controlled by microorganisms which are part of healthy soil, and deepening this understanding of interactions, I think this is the scientific power of agroecology. I think organic as a concept is so strong. I mean, in certification, that I see for the market not really, let's say, a danger, but certainly this is up to the organizations in the organic context to keep the organic concept relevant for consumer communication, and having agroecology more as a broader field where you develop new scientific understanding and where you test out all these other concepts like regenerative agriculture and other concepts. I think both concepts could live with each other. And we have sometimes made the experience, if you go towards a very strict approach of definition, it's more excluding others than helping, actually. Therefore, having a broader definition and then just looking forward to get work done, I think helps more. Back to you.
Thank you, Hans-Jörg. And then Nathalie.
Yes, no, but I agree with what Alfred explained. I must say we have no clear definition of agroecology, but for us, it's all these agroecological methods, and organic are, of course, a specific element of this broad family, with the regulation, with the certification, and also with the recognition by the consumer, because we have the logo at EU level for that. And so, but not all farmers have the possibility or want to go to be introduced in the organic communities, because there is strict rules to be applied. And if we want to achieve all the targets put in the Green Deals, and so in farm to fork and biodiversity, so linked to pesticide, linked to antimicrobial, it's good to have different steps. And if we have to go in the same direction, and so if it is not possible to start with the organic, you have always the possibility for farmer to apply agroecological methods without the thing. What we must be careful is at the end, if we are multiplying the logo, and for that, and the consumer risk to be misled. but that is to be carefully analyzed and to be sure that it's well explained and that there is no mixture between the different elements. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathalie. Very clear. Mute.
I studied organic agriculture, and I think I was working on an organic farm when the first organic regulation passed in the European institutions. For me, there's a big overlap, but there's also an inspiration, because for me, organic agriculture also did not start with a EU regulation. It was developed by farmers, it was developed by researchers to say, this is the direction that you want to go. And you had also a long transition period where it was defining objectives, where we want to go, and then very detailed rules. Whilst for me, agroecology, yes, it doesn't have a European or international one definition, but for me, it's an approach, and it can also be an inspiration, because some developments in the organic sector, going mainly for supermarkets, having close cooperation, there are some consumers and some citizens who see concerns on this. And for me, agroecology can then be also something which has this strong local approach, and this very strong social approach can also be a fruitful dialogue to remind in which direction we want to go together, where we go together, and where we might have sometimes slightly different priorities. And I think it's also an advantage that you don't have this legal definition, that it's a more living concept, because it also allows us to develop quicker and to learn from each other, and to see here is something really inspiring that we can think about how we can scale it up, what we can learn. Can it be also then at one point written as a rule for the organic farming sector? So I think for me, it's also a strength that it's not so clearly defined. And I fully agree with Nathalie that in some regions, some farmers decided they don't want to go for full organic certification, but they still follow a lot of agroecology practices. And I know from iFarmEU, this is hard to accept, but sometimes it is just like this. I mean, and for us, it's really an inspiration, and we are really pleased to see how much research is produced and how much evidence we have that we actually have much better solutions than industrial farming, and it delivers socially, economically, climate-wise, biodiversity-wise, and it's a real inspiration that we can achieve the necessary change.
Thank you, Mute. And I think it's very important that we bring as much farmer as possible towards more sustainable food system. Are they certified or not? So the ambition is to have a sustainable Europe by 2050, and the organic farming sector wants to contribute, but we want more and more farmers to get closer to organic and to become organic. So the more, the better in this case. And we are almost finishing. So before I give the final words to all of you, I would like to remind that for all the members of TP Organics, we will meet again at 2 o'clock for the stakeholder forum. So we will be back at 2 o'clock Central East European time for the stakeholder forum of TP Organics, member-only event. And then I would like also to give you already the date for the next Organic Innovation Days in 2021. It will be on the 30th of November and the 1st of December. So save the date in your agenda, and hopefully this will be an event that will be physical, and we will be able to meet in person in 1 year from now. And then I would like to close. We have 2 minutes. So my question is a yes or no question, and it's about the 25% target. Are we going to meet in 10 years from now and Europe will be 25% organic? Alfred, yes or no?
Yes.
Good. Nathalie?
I will say yes, we'll do all we can do to achieve this target.
Great.
And to help the sector to achieve it. And with the action plan, I think that will be, important tools to achieve link with research, innovation, and all the other actions we can do.
Thank you, Nathalie. Hans-Jörg?
Yes, if we can broaden actually the uptake. There are front-running countries, and there are countries which still need, let's say, proper structures, proper elements. And if we can actually get those countries, those markets encouraged, getting also upfront, then yes.
Thank you, Hans-Jörg. Mute?
Yes, definitely we can achieve this, especially with farmers like Alfred and with more lighthouses and more living labs and more shared knowledge and joint learning.
So thank you again to all of you. So the next appointment is in 1 year from now for the Organic Innovation Days, but we will meet again in 10 years from now to celebrate the 25% organic land in Europe. I wish you a lovely day. Thank you very much for being with us at the Organic Innovation Days. I hope all the participants are like me, giving you a round of applause for your contribution. And I would like to close the session, and I wish you a very nice day, all of you. Greetings from Brussels. Ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye. The best
Bye-bye.
for
Thank
your
you.
event. Bye.